Husband 29M slept with my mom 55F. He confessed it to me yesterday out of guilt. The details are that he was extremely drunk on his bachelor party night, which I knew had happened. He doesn't drink often and overdid it. Said the next morning that he didn't remember anything after a certain point. I thought nothing of it. Looking back, I can see how he was acting pretty off, which I assumed at the time was wedding jitters. Now he's told me he did remember coming home that night, which was when my mom, staying with us that week for the wedding, came on to him. He went along with it to the point of ending up having sex in her bed. In fact, he passed out in her bed and was there the whole night. My bachelorette party was the same night. I came home around 3 a.m. to see he wasn't in our bed. I texted him but assumed he had crashed with a friend as he'd said he might do that if things got crazy. But he was actually with my mother, right in the room next fucking door. The next morning, he quietly slipped out while I was still asleep. Then opened the door pretending he'd just come home after sleeping off the drunkenness at his friend's. He got into bed with me and told me that lie. As if that wasn't enough, he also initiated sex soon after. He'd been fucking my mother mere hours before. We got married the very next day. Fuck everything. I literally cannot believe this. My mother has a history of trying to flirt with guys I've dated and being inappropriate. Not this bad, but still. My husband knew this. We'd laughed about it. He assured me he would never in a million years think she was attractive. What the fuck? I called her last night. Just said husband told me everything. She spent several minutes pretending not to know what I was talking about. Then denying everything and saying he was making it up. Then claiming she'd woken up to my husband forcing himself on her. The sheer audacity of the bullshit she is capable of is beyond any disgust I can properly convey. I eventually just ended the call. I could not stop crying. She refused to even admit the truth, let alone take any responsibility or apologize. I'm not even worth basic honesty in my own mother's eyes. I'm not even worth a half-assed I'm sorry to her. The person who's supposed to love you no matter what. And does she also think I'm stupid? Why keep lying to someone who knows you're lying, unless you actually think they'd fall for your shit? Today I can't cry at all. Everything feels unreal. I'm completely lost and almost feel like I dreamed this or something. I've lost the two most important people in my life. Because they decided that I wasn't as important to them as having a quick fuck. Well, hope it was the best 10 minutes of their lives. And sure, maybe my husband didn't come home that night with the planned intention of sleeping with her. He probably didn't, and it was just horrible judgment from overdrinking. That doesn't change the fact he and my mom have had sex. No one should be able to say that about their spouse. How is that normal? I cannot imagine remaining in a marriage where my spouse has fucked my mom. Literally 2 nights before our wedding. There's simply no coming back from that, right? No, I will never get over or forgive it. I feel absolutely revolted that for the last 2 years they've been at family visits together acting more or less normal, with me right there like a stupid fucking clueless fool. There's probably much more I'm forgetting, but maybe it doesn't even matter. I'm just done. My life is gone and I have no idea where I will be next week, let alone next year. We were going to be together for the rest of our lives. Now it's gone, just like that I have nothing. What can I do now? How do I possibly explain to the rest of my family why we're divorcing? I am so fucking humiliated. Update. My actual update will be brief, but I first want to thoroughly address what you guys said on my first post. I read every single comment. I guess skip to the bottom if you just want to know the update. Most of you were pointing out that it sounded like my husband was too drunk to consent, meaning she raped him. When I spoke to him again after reading all of that, I asked him carefully if he felt that she took advantage of his drunkenness. There was a long pause. He sighed and gave me this look that was just full of guilt and sadness, and then basically said, no, that it would be easy to go with the out I was giving him, but that I'd deserve the full truth. He then proceeded to tell me that before that night, they had been sexting for several months. He had not told me this the first time he confessed. He went on to tell me more, explaining that he left this out because the biggest issue was the actual cheating, and he hadn't wanted to hurt me by giving all the lead-up details. He only gave them this time out of some remaining sense of honor, I guess. He said he'd be even more of a coward if he misled me to think it was rape. So I guess he's not as much of a liar as he could be. Don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, they had been sexting, including exchanging nudes, for a few months before the wedding. Now, I had known they texted sometimes. They always had a friendly relationship. I hadn't ever suspected anything weird. Like I said in the first post, he'd been adamant that he'd never think of her sexually. I trusted him. He can't explain why they started sexting beyond he got caught up in the thrill of doing something forbidden. There were implications made about wanting to do things in real life as a one-night thing should the opportunity ever arise. Disgusting. So fast forward to our bachelor/et party's night. The texting between him and her was going on while he was out that night. So what I said in my first post about how he probably didn't come home intending to sleep with her? Yep, that was wrong, he did. In fact, him telling me he was going to stay overnight with his friend if he got too drunk was all part of the setup. He knew I'd be out very late at a show. He had the presence of mind to arrange a way to leave his party earlier in the night, go home, fuck my mother, and already have given me a plausible explanation for appearing not to be home when I got back at 3 a.m. so that he could spend that one night with her. It was just that important to him to have the full experience of falling asleep after sex and waking up next to each other. He reiterated that he had been aware the whole time of what he was doing. He was not as drunk as he'd made it seem the next morning when he claimed not to remember anything that happened. I think that tripped people up on my first post into thinking he was incapacitated. I thought I'd been clear that he'd admitted during his first confession that it was an act he put on to me at the time to cover up his cheating, which he then explained he actually had remembered everything the next morning. So just to be clear again, while he did get drunk, at no point did he black out or become totally wasted to the point he was incapable of controlling his decisions and body. He doesn't know if she was drunk too or relatively sober. She had mentioned she was drinking when he was out at his party, but he doesn't know how much. He said since that night he hadn't texted her at all except about logistical details of visits, and one text he sent her the day after. In that one he said it would never happen again, and she'd lose me if I knew correct. So she better never let it slip. She agreed. He claims everything between them since then has been a normal MIL relationship. Do I believe that? Doesn't matter. He lied for 2 years and then lied by omission in his first confession about the months-long build-up to the affair. During that time, I was bonding with my mother over wedding planning. She brought me dress shopping. It's fucking sick. I'd be misplaced to not acknowledge his integrity around the rape thing. He told me it'd be easy to run with that in order to keep me. I'd said if that's how it happened I would stay with him. But that he'd already betrayed me. He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he made a false accusation about something so serious instead of taking responsibility. Well, that is the only part one respect him for. As for my mom, nothing, not a word from her since this weekend. Fine by me. I never want to see or hear from her again. It's almost like she died. I don't have a mother anymore. Some of you asked about my father. He died of health issues in 2010, and my mom had a revolving door of men when I was a teen but no real relationships, so I don't have a dad or a stepdad either. I'm also an only child. I have friends and some other family, but just do not have the energy yet to tell them about any of this. Last thing, some people thought my post was made up because I hadn't replied to any comments. That was because I was so exhausted I just passed out right after posting it. When I woke up, it was locked and I couldn't reply. Actual update. I'm proceeding with divorce and have gotten in touch with an attorney. I've kicked him out of the house. I think he's gone to his parents for the time being. Not looking forward to a legal battle whatsoever, but there's no possible way to remain married after this shit. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it. I have my own suspicions based on things he's said in the past about wishing he'd had more sexual partners before me, because he felt like he had missed out on his youth. Maybe that was my clue I wasn't enough for him. Should have listened, but let him and some friends talk me into believing I must be, or he wouldn't be with me, and that all guys have regrets like that and sacrifice them for the right woman. Clearly that wasn't me. He also struggles with overuse of porn sometimes. Stepmom is his favorite genre. It never struck me as anything other than a dumb porn thing. Whatever. I won't be dating for a long, long time because obviously I'm colorblind to